Hello, I'm Dr. Margaret, and once again, thank you for coming to my um, page on YouTube and subscribing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, perhaps you will. There are a lot of videos that I've made over 5 years. Some are called Journey into an Unknown World, following my radio show, and some are just Dr. Margaret speaking. So today, what I'd like to do is follow up on my blog that I wrote and my radio show that's going up soon on deportment. Now, um, in America, people say deport means going away from a country, being sent away, but I'm not really talking about anything like that at all. What I'm talking about is the way you stand. You know, I said on my radio show that when I was a very little girl, I was told that I had to stand very tall, very erect, hold my head up like this, look down my nose, and make sure that I could walk around the room with my head held high, as though I was highly important, like being the queen. Now, can you imagine trying to do that in war-torn London? Yes, even from 4.5 years old after the war ended, I was immediately told, now we have to rebuild England, and in rebuilding England, you are the daughter of a major, and therefore you must be able to hold your head high, walk tall, and reach out to those people who need you as a living example of leadership. So what's happened? I was taken off to my father's regiment for regimental reunions, and of course there were lots of people there. Can you imagine how little I was? 5.5 years old. Here's all these big, tall guys looking down at me. Yes, some of them were 6 foot, and the brigadier was actually very tall. And they all took a shine to me. They liked me, as we say. And of course, being the little girl of the major, I was picked up frequently. And something happened when I was picked up. Suddenly, I was so hot. I was sweating hot. And as they were holding me and saying, "Hey, what a sweet little girl you are, Margaret," I started to realize that I could see their auras. And their auras were shifting and changing. And they were going from this awful dull sort of colors, to pinks, palette colors. I didn't know that word then, but I thought, this is so beautiful and I'd like to see it. So every time someone picked me up, someone was getting healing. So yes, I was born with a healing gift. I kind of knew it, but I didn't know what it was all about. So I went on my journey throughout my life, pretty sure that I wanted to be a nurse or a doctor, and I achieved both. And I also love to sing and dance and act and play, and I love to paint and draw and do all sorts of things like this Afghan you see behind me. That was for my father-in-law. I made that for him before he passed. I made one for my sister too, not for the same reasons. But the thing is, they're healing blankets. Everything I do has some idea about healing. So what has this got to do with deportment? Well, when I got to be about 9 or 10, I guess become a bit slumpy, not really studying upright like this. So we had to go into classes, right? And the teacher was one of those really snobbish looking people who looks down her nose like this all the time. And you kind of look up at her and all you can see is her nostrils. But the bottom line was she was a good teacher, and she pulled out a large book, which happened to be Shakespeare, a lot of stuff that I had yet to read. I knew, of course, about Shakespeare, but I didn't know what I was going to use it for. And I thought I was going to have to read all these things right there and then. And instead, she said, "Put it on your head." So, of course, I put it on my head and it fell off immediately. And in no time at all, I got the idea from her as we did it 2 or 3 times. And each child in the class had a big book, not necessarily the same one that I had. And we had to get it on our head and balance it and then walk around the room, keeping head still, keeping head high. And I remember this stretch here. you know. And I thought to myself as I was walking around the room, how can I look down with this book on my head? And you can just see me looking down now at my notes, trying to see where I was walking. And I thought, what a ridiculous thing to do, to learn how to hold your head up so high that you show your nostrils to everyone, just like my teacher was. And at the same time, where's my beauty? Where's my smile? Because I'm so up here. Well, the bottom line was I was really learning something that was very important. I was learning about the skeletal system, how the bones need to be growing in the right position, one on top of the other like this, so that by the time I was a fully grown woman, probably 14 years old, my bones had all solidified very well, one on top of the other. And I had plenty of movement either way, backwards and forwards. Okay, why? Because I also did ballet and tap and all other sorts of dancing that I could find. In fact, I tried everything, even Highland dancing, swinging my arms around, and Irish dancing, all these different things, Morris dancing. I loved it. But at the end of the day, I had to go back and put that book on my head and walk around, swinging my arms, getting a rhythm. Now, how do you walk? Do you walk with rhythm? Do you feel the dance of the walk? Or do you bend your head, walk around like this, feeling like you can't get anything? And are you having problem bending, stretching? You see, the very important thing about a deportment class is about a French word meaning to hold up, to carry. Okay, and in those days England was very much tied with France, so we had a lot of French words in our language. And so to carry your body in the right way is very important when you're young. And unfortunately, I watch the children looking at videos all the time, and I'm thinking, they're just slumping here like this, or on the thing. That looks good, it looks comfortable, everybody's happy, I'm going to watch TV, yeah. But what happens when I lean forward and get up? How am I going to get up? I have to push my hands. I had to move myself from place to place. Now, you can see I'm 74 years old and I'm pretty flexible, okay? I can still twist and dance and do all the things I used to do. But why? Because as I was learning deportment with that book on my head, I was teaching my body a lesson for my brain. I was teaching my brain to think about being straight up, having an erect position. So on a cellular neuromuscular memory, my brain learned what is the correct position for my body to be held in, given that I'm doing something or being lazy. So even when I slouch on the sofa, okay, I can feel sometimes that my muscles are letting go, and I can feel that a bone would like to move. And sometimes it does move out of alignment. So what do? I have the compensation. I have the other way to move. So as I put it out, so I put it back. That's where the dancing comes in, okay? Flexible muscles. Cellular means cell, memory, okay? Your brain stores the patterns of every position that you've ever had. For example, do you remember, please miss, I want to go pee, kind of thing, desperate, okay? Now you go, where is that thing in the cupboard? Where did I put it? Oh, I better go bathroom. I got an urge. Why? You may have just been 10 minutes ago, but the thing is, your brain is telling yourself, okay, this is the same position all those years ago when you were saying, I want to go, okay? So in the same way, when you're learning to walk, you have to understand that you need to teach your brain what the correct position is to walk. So giving us the deportment classes was very important, but it didn't end with just walking around with a book on our shoulders, or on our head, but we had to have things on our shoulders too. Weights, sandbags, basically, to be exact. And we had to walk around so that we kept the shoulders down. A lot of us tended to, especially in the cold weather, to do this. Oh, yes, it's very cold today, and I'll cover up my hands and my arms and I'll rub my hands together because it's very cold. Okay? But being a lady, you can't let everybody know you're cold. Have to look warm, have to look graceful. So we had to learn to hold our shoulders down, keep our head square on our neck, and keep our neck square to our shoulders. So whenever my teacher saw me doing this, guess who was in trouble, okay? Even when I wasn't in the class, she might be passing by and I'm talking to my friends and maybe I'm slumping against a wall or something, not even thinking about my body. And she would say, Margaret, shoulders back. Oh, yes. Well, of course, coming back to my little story about being the daughter of a major, well, there came a time when they started to teach me how to march, left, right, how to keep my shoulders down. It culminated in being integrated into the Suffolk Regiment as the only female honorary member at the grand age of about 9. I'm not really sure, it's so long ago, but I know at 7 I wanted to be a nurse, and I know that they gave me a nurse's outfit to dress up in, and they gave me a badge and a beret and a piece of paper that said that I was now a member of the Suffolk Regiment. And all I have today is a rosette. I've lost it all, I'm afraid. But I haven't lost what I learned. Rhythm, left, right, left, right. The same with dancing. Up and down, up and down. Well, of course, as we get older, our muscles atrophy. If we don't do things, we tend to lose the power in our muscles. I have to admit that I'm very active, but I've recently lost a lot of weight, so I'm not doing too well in the muscle area. But I'm not going to let that get me away from not trying. No, I'm doing Zumba. Okay, so what I'm saying to you really is that you need to understand that your skeletal system is the power of how you stand, how you walk, how you appear, how you get up, how you sit down. So that was something else we learned. A lady does not sit with her legs splayed. Now, I can tell you, I was watching my grandchildren recently, and there they were, lounging around, legs all over the place, up in the air, panties showing, even though they've got brothers. My grandchildren, they're very natural. And I was saying to them, you're going to be a little older soon. Why don't you put your legs together, sit upright like this, and see how long you can hold that position? Well, the youngest one was quite happy to do that. Sat there quite well for quite a while until I said, well, you've done well, you can go play. The other two were like, oh, do I have to do this? My back's hurting, and so on. I said, look, you're only 9 and 12. You should be able to train these muscles to be upright. Okay? Well, obviously I wasn't going to dominate them, so off they ran to play. But the thing is, I thought to myself, I need to tell all these mothers out there that the old-fashioned idea of deportment, French word meaning to carry yourself, okay, means to use the body in the early years in a way that they can tone up those muscles, make it natural, make it very strong. When I came to America, I was 40 years old and I was on tour, because I was pretty well known in England. In fact, I was quite famous for being a medium. And when I came, I was walking around in high heels, of course, looking lady and looking upright and so on. And I started to realize, I'm always pulling my belly in so tight because as a psychic, you've got to keep that solar plexus chakra closed. And I thought to myself, I should relax the muscles. I did. What happened was I got floppy tummy muscles. That wasn't so good for me. I didn't like that. So here I am at the grand age of 74, toning up my muscles and my abs, holding them in, pulling them in. Because when you pull in the abdominal muscles, you're supporting your spine in the mid. In other words, your lumbar bones. Okay. At the same time, if your lumbar bones are in a strong position, then your upper back, the thoracic bones, are going to stay in place so that you can take a full breath in and out and feel like you're really getting all the oxygen you need instead of feeling tired all the time. And at the same time, if you keep your shoulders low and your neck straight, you're not going to get a lot of neck ache. Even if you're sitting looking at a computer as I am now and typing and doing whatever, it's very important that you have that typing part, wherever it is, below you, lower, so that you can put your head to this angle and keep your body straight and type away. You can see my hands, but I'm pretending I'm typing. And I am not raising my shoulders. I'm just moving my arms according to how I want to. Given time and practice, your muscles at the back here will strengthen. And given time, the ligaments will also strengthen and your spine will stay in alignment. But what if you're out of alignment because you've never had any training in the early years like I did to stay straight? Okay, you need to go see a chiropractor frequently. Now, I go off to Japan and other countries a lot to teach. I teach a lot of things like my metaphysiotherapy course, which trains therapists to entwine many different therapies, as well as psychology, psychiatry, and so many other things. And I go backwards and forwards to these countries because we've got a lot to teach. And traveling on planes and resting for you're in a sleep position with your head like this for ages doesn't help. So I always encourage people to either find a pillow that really helps you keep your head up like this while you're sleeping, or if you can lay down because there's a spare seat next to you, to make sure you have many pillows underneath you. Carry your own pillow if you need to, so that you can get in a comfortable position where you're actually supporting your head while you're lying. Well, in the same way, you want to support your body. So if you're going to slouch back, here I have a pillow. I am going to put it under me like this so that my arm and my body are supported by this pillow so that I'm not going to let the slouch at the back here make my body go out of alignment. Okay? There are many ways that people should know how to use their body. Now, for example, if you are going to pick up something heavy off the floor, squat. Go down, bend the knees, and keep your body straight. Move your arms forward, and then pick up the box and slowly bring it to your chest. If it's small enough, hold it. And as you can, then use your legs, your feet, to push upwards. Now, I know it might be that something's really heavy and your tendency is to want to just pick it straight up like that. But that's going to put a strain on the lower lumbar. So bending and having your legs apart, bending, picking up, and then carrying up to this and straightening your legs is going to make it much easier for you to carry something that's heavy. Now, what if it's something tiddly, like a feather that's fallen on the floor? Do you just bend down like this and pick it up? Well, sometimes I catch myself doing that. But what else could I do to balance me? So, for example, having done dancing, if I'm bending down to pick a feather up, I'll bring the other hand down so that I'll bring them up in a way together. So there's support by doing things with each hand. Now, another thing that you can do if you're into dancing is you can bend down to pick that thing up and put your leg up. That creates another balance. It's very difficult to do when you're not used to doing it. So again, I advise you, if you go to a class, a simple ballet class for beginners, even if you're 99, it's good exercise. If you're sitting in a wheelchair and you can't get out, practicing moving the muscles is very important. Putting them up and up and down like this is very important. People think they have to use big weights, but the truth is no, you don't need anything but you and your mind learning to move things. So why is it important to keep on repeating these patterns of movement, of carrying, of sitting, standing, and walking? It's very important because your brain is constantly reassessing if you are in the right position. And if you are, then it relearns that this is the way for you to act and walk and talk and do whatever you want to do. But if you instead go, oh, I'm really hurting here, and oh, I can barely bend down, and so, okay, I've got it, and I'm pulling it up, and oh dear, it hurts so much, I need to go sit down and take a painkiller. Guess what you've just done? You've just given yourself a new belief, and that's a logical belief based on assumptions that you will always be in pain every time you bend down, and likely you will be, because you haven't been to a chiropractor or you strained all the muscles. So what do? You have to say to yourself when you pick something down and it's hurting, you say to yourself, wow, I'm sensing a pain. I'll have to go see my chiropractor right away and put myself back into a straight alignment. And think of yourself as a beanpole, as we say in England, or a stick that's straight. And take some deep breaths as you stand up, even if you are in dreadful pain. Take some deep breaths and try and be as erect as you can possibly be, and stretch up your spine like this. And yes, look down your nose and let everything move, and slowly move like this. And maybe you'll hear some clicks, twitches, knocks, or feel some ligaments moving backwards and forwards. And as you slowly move like this, relaxing backwards and forwards like this. So what you're doing is actually teaching your brain, aha, I can put myself back to the original structure that I had in early years, a straight spine with all the other ligaments holding my other bones in the right position so that I can heal and rejuvenate. The last thing that I want to think that you should talk about and really think about all the time for yourself is, when you were a little zygote in the womb, your spirit wasn't inside it then. Your mother was taking care of that egg. The first thing that happened as it divided was it formed the placenta, a part of her. The second thing that it did was it divided again and built the brain. Now here's the amazing thing. The brain has the memory, DNA structure, if you like, within it to cause a body to grow as well as the brain. So as the brain grows, so your body grows. And by the time the end of the first trimester is finished, you as a spirit being will bond with that body and live in it. So when we hear about all this anguish and temper tantrums about abortions and babies lost and people asking, is there another thing and so on, I want to tell you, please read Pro-Life, Pro-Choice, Pro-Spirit, my book. You'll get a lot of insight there about how important life is for you to accept that when you do live pro-spirit, you will know when your body is out of alignment. You will know when you need to go and see a chiropractor. You will know what to do to help yourself get out of pain, get strong, and feel very, very happy with everything that you do. Because when we're in pain, when we're tired, when we're exhausted, we don't think about how our body is really going through it. Don't you want a healthy body? Don't you want a strong body? Don't you want a body that you can still run? I run for buses all the time in Japan. One of the things I noticed when I was in Japan is many of the Japanese walk with tiny little steps. Because once upon a time they were trained to do that. But they were also trained to hold their bodies up while they're walking with tiny little steps. So even if you have to shuffle, even if you have hip problems or knee problems, try the straight body and try the shuffle. You've got to teach your brain to have a new idea about who you are and the way you present yourself to the world. After all, you can't see yourself walking down the street, but your friend can. So ask your friend to give you a demonstration of how you look walking down the street. Are you waddling, toddling? Are you leaning to right or to left? Is your head off center? They can look, they can tell you. And then all you have to do is go down to your chiropractor, massage therapist, get the treatments, and tell yourself every day, Deportment, I'm going to stay straight, upright. I'm going to give my body the best that it can have. Last but not least, nourishment. Make sure you eat about 4 ounces of protein a day. Some meat, some fish, some eggs, some cheese, dairy produce is okay, as long as you don't kill yourself with too much. And on top of that, lots of vegetables, rice, things that are nice, potatoes that are good for you, and cut back on the sugar, cut back on the carbs. Let yourself feel healthy. Then your headaches will go away, your brain can work productively, your kidneys, pancreas, spleen, liver, gallbladder, bowel system will work efficiently. So on that note, I'm going to say to you, thank you very much for listening to me. And please, if you know people you like, please share this, because there's lots of people that I know would love to know about Deportment. Be well, be safe, and do take a look at my other videos. And guess what? If you're still interested, go to my radio show. That's on webtalkradio.net /shows/journey into-and-unknown-world/ I'll put it below this video so you can see it. Lots of things to learn there, and watch out for my seminars and webinars that I'm going to do on those shows, because I'm only going to charge a nominal fee of $35 per hour, and we'll go into each subject, and I'll teach you just the same as I was with Deportment. So please come back, let me know, write some comments below there, write on Facebook, share it, please, everyone. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.